Good morning. My name is Rich Jackson. My wife Ruth and I have been together for some 65 years now. One of the highlights of that long life occurred in December of 2010. Just before that date, after 40 years or so at All Souls, and with our 3 grown children already long gone, we decided that we might want to just maybe take a look at hope. We did that. We liked it, got a nice reception from people, and in that month, almost 10 years ago, we joined Hope. Currently, after a number of other board and committee roles, I'm a proud member of Hope Church Outreach Committee. And I like very much being a member of that committee. I like what we do together, and I like the people I do it with. This morning, I'll be doing a number of things for the first time, so bear with me. The obvious one, of course, is that I'm doing a presentation meeting virtually, and that changes a lot of things. One of the first things is that now I'm sitting at my office with my Yosemite Park photo behind me. It's normally in front of me when I'm working at my desk. Yosemite is my very favorite national park out in California, where I'm from. Another thing that's different is that I can't see my audience, and that's kind of a strange thing. What I do see is myself. It's a little like practicing in front of a mirror. The result, of course, is that I can now see what I'm doing. The tough part of that is that I know I'm being recorded. And every little slip or error is being recorded. There's not much I can do about that other than start over, and that would be an endless process. So I'm not going to do that very often. Finally, among things being done for the first time, I will be doing a lay sermon, something I've never considered doing before. After having done a number of presentations at Hope, I can say with confidence an adult RE presentation, one of my very first, my first year or so at Hope, was a big hit. The reason for that is I was doing a talk on volunteering, and while doing research, happened on a Tulsa nonprofit that gave away packages of M&Ms to entice people to come in and talk about volunteering. And they were kind enough to let me have enough of those packs of M&Ms to hand out at the end of my talk. I can't do that in a virtual sermon, so you can't use that trick. I'll also add that I'm a person more comfortable with doing things than I am about talking about doing things, which is one reason why I'm comfortable with the outreach committee, because they do a lot of things. But in spite of these negative thoughts that I've just expressed, and after more than a few conversations with myself about whether I really want to do this or not, I decided I did. And I'm glad I made that decision. One of my aims in this presentation is to help keep the stay in touch momentum going. Ruth and I really appreciate either led or taken part in months of virtual Zoom meetings, either on Sunday mornings or as needed to keep committees going. You've kept Hope Church alive and well during this critical year. And we appreciate and admire all of you who participated. My sermon, what I'll be speaking about, of course, is my personal passions. This sermon will not contain advice about what you should believe or how you should behave. All that needs to be said about those two topics is in the Golden Rule, a staple in all major religions. What I will be talking to you about is I'm going to pick from a file, or I have chosen from a file of quotes I have, those that say more briefly and better than I can who I am and what I prioritize in my life. Just to give you a little idea of what's coming up, I've got two major quotes that I'll be commenting on, and a couple more quotes at the end in a concluding summary of what I've been trying to say in this talk. The two major quotes I'll expand on in different ways were said in a different America and a different world than we have in 2020. Technology and culture have changed a lot since these words were said. But for centuries, human nature has changed very little, if at all. The first major quote is from Eleanor Roosevelt, a person I've admired since my teen years in the 1940s. Her quote is a short one with a big message. Do the thing you think you cannot do. Do the thing you think you cannot do. Eleanor Roosevelt lived a magnificent and a very useful life by that quote. At this point, I'm going to leave the office and continue in the backyard, where I'll have a real outdoors behind me rather than a photo of one. During her married life, Eleanor Roosevelt was challenged by hugely growing responsibilities, especially after her husband became president in 1932. She had the intelligence and determination, however, to grow as needed in Depression and wartime decades, and made the most of the opportunities that offered. A few illustrations. In the 1930s, FDR asked her to be his eyes and ears in the country outside of the White House. She traveled widely in the country, went alone into the poor districts of the District of Columbia, poor areas of the District of Columbia, and without benefit of Secret Service protection. And at first, she was unprepared to answer questions in the detail that FDR required. But she very soon learned how to be much more observant. In the 1940s, she had become an independent and highly regarded public figure in her own right, in the U.S. and abroad. As a speaker, she would say what she wanted to say. She wrote a daily and widely read newspaper column, and she supported the war effort, of course, in any way she could. In 1943, with FDR's full support, she undertook a 6-week trip to the wartime areas of the South Pacific. She primarily went to thank the soldiers and sailors in talks for the services and for the sacrifices they were making. But she also focused on visiting military hospitals and would chat personally with difficult to see badly wounded individuals. After her husband's death in April of 1945, she continued to be active politically and was a strong supporter of the founding of the United Nations in San Francisco in 1945 under the leadership of succeeding President Harry Truman. In December of 1945, President Truman asked Eleanor Roosevelt to be one of the American delegates to the first meeting of the UN General Assembly in London. Her answer to that was, "Oh no, I couldn't do that. I don't have the experience or the background." President Truman refused to accept this and asked her to think about it. Well, of course she did. And after what were probably some agonizing days of thinking about it, she relented and accepted his invitation. During her time in London and later as a continuing delegate to the United Nations, she served as the first chair of the UN Commission on Human Rights, and oversaw drafting of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Now, Eleanor Roosevelt, of course, had opportunities few of us, or none of us really, will ever have. And she had the courage, however, to do what she believed was the right thing to do. That fact is why I chose another quote that any one of us can relate and respond to. President Theodore Roosevelt provides a famous quote many of you may have seen. My edited version is, "It is not the critic who counts. The credit goes to the man who is actually in the arena, who does actually strive to do the deeds." Now, as you perhaps just mentally noted, in the 21st century, that dated word man would, thankfully, have been replaced by the person who is actually in the arena. And we were certainly reminded of this month at the highest political level. The video you'll see next has also been edited to fit time limits. At the start, you'll meet 3 women you don't know, followed by a section that includes at least 3 people you may recognize. I play it because it contains examples of the many benefits there are to a person in state or local or national even arenas. After the video, I'll list a few of my favorite benefits. So look for how many benefits you see as you watch the video, and tell me sometime how many I missed or what I missed. Thank you.
I was struggling, of course, trying to raise a son on my own, and I heard about this wonderful program that would give you an opportunity to raise money, save money on your own, and improve your lifestyle. And of course, at first I thought, oh, yeah, right, you know, another system, you know, this has got to be too good to be true. But you know what? It wasn't. For the first time, that in a long time it was actually the truth, and it was good.
A girlfriend of mine never had a home in her life, and she's got 3 kids, and she bought, I told her about CAP. She bought her first home, brand new, built from the ground up. And I mean, it's just, you know what I'm saying? It's just, now she's getting ready to start her own daycare. I mean, and that's because CAP sat down, looked at her income, you know, helped her every step of the way. We can get you in the house, you know. And she's like, you know, because she never thought she can get there.
It has shown me that as I turn to do right and become a productive member of society, that there are quality, kind, resourceful, and successful people that have come alongside to help. And not just help by feeding me for a day, but help with knowledge and funds, if I need it, to actually succeed in the future.
When we first started out 7 years ago, we were just, like I say, trying to get people to come into the program so we could help them to prepare their own taxes. From a logistical point of view, we certainly could not afford to pay tax people to come in and do it for us, so we started looking for volunteers. And we found it was very simple to get people from the community who had already prepared their own taxes, had tax knowledge, or who did it in their job. And so it was very easy for us to find plenty of people who, if they were retired, they wanted to give back to the community, or if they were working, they also maybe wanted to do something that they could for people that needed the assistance.
There's the number that we do.
Well, the first year we served 1,200 clients. And the past 2 years we've served 12,000. So there's been a tenfold increase in the number of people that we've been able to help. In terms of the dollars, I don't recall the dollar value the first year, but this past year it's been running around $13 million in refunds coming back into the community. We move our sites around from year to year. They're in different locations, but we find people come from zip codes all over the city, regardless of where our sites are. And when we talk to the city council in the summer about getting funds from the city, we emphasize that there are low-income people in every district in this city.
We're here at the Father Miguel Pro building, where we provide services to the ESL population, mainly to Hispanic individuals. Over the past few years, the Hispanic population in Tulsa has increased from 25,000 individuals to 60,000. I started with the agency in July of the year 2000, and so far we have been able to help over 2,300 individuals and families.
Unlike many other credits that give most of their benefits to middle-class families or upper-class families, the Earned Income Credit is very much targeted on families that earn at, below, or just above the federal poverty level. You can only claim the credit if you make a maximum of $32,000. Therefore, families that really need the most assistance get the most benefit from the Earned Income Credit. The more that a family with children is working, the greater the credit. So everyone has recognized that this is a very productive credit in that it encourages work and very much complements the efforts that have been made with welfare reform to get people working. We know that many people entering the workforce are only making minimum wage or low wage jobs. Therefore, the earned income credit is a real stimulus to work by giving a wage supplement for low wage workers.
However, we realize that there are a lot of people still in this country who are not accessing that earned income tax credit, mostly because they don't know about it or they don't have the means to have their taxes prepared. So we started a small campaign of putting bus placards on buses, and from the first year, I believe there was about 1,200 clients. Until now, we're well over 12,000 clients. We got to get going because this is it. It's 9 o'clock. Let's go. We've got our first customers ready. And put it together. But I brought it anyway. Bill, are you going to sit?
I am really delighted to be here this morning, and there's so much activity you can hear it underway, because this program is a program under the Community Action Project of Tulsa that has really focused on the needs of our working class, our working poor, and provides them with a tool to help them obtain a benefit that is available to them through federal law, through the tax code.
We are able to provide free income tax assistance, free electronic filing. It's a program that we do in partnership with the IRS. The IRS, in fact, has held the Tulsa program out as a national model. Unfortunately, there has been an enormous growth of in recent years among very high-priced commercial tax preparers. They promote rapid refund anticipation loans. Reputable, well-known firms have been charging interest rates that have been documented to be in excess of 770%. There's no reason that anyone needs to do that.
Did they tell you give your time? They give your time, so it may take a week, or it may take three to 5 days, maybe. Yes, just keep checking.
That's the first one of the day?
That's the first one of the day. Very excited. It was fun.
Back in the office, after learning how difficult it is to make a laptop video outdoors. That's how I've learned a lot of things. Trial and error. Lots of the latter. Reminds me of an Albert Einstein quote that I wasn't going to use. Education is what remains after you've forgotten everything you learned in school. I have two final quotes that I like that require no comment. The first quote is by Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis, 1916 to 1939. Long time on the job. Advising his impatient daughter. My dear, if you would only realize that life is hard, things would be so much easier for you. Second quote is by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who needs no introduction to Unitarians. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, and to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. The summary punchline on what I've just said is this. Dare to be in an arena if you believe it's the right thing to do. My experience, including this one, is it'll benefit you in many or all of the following ways. Your confidence will grow regardless of outcome. You'll meet amazing people, some well known and many more not, who will teach you many important things. It'll make your life more fun and more meaningful. You'll have the wonderful personal satisfaction of having helped someone who needed help. You might even inspire someone else, although you'll likely never know it. You can quote me on that. Amen.